Feeling distant and disconnected in your marriage? Well, that's no fun. Look for ways to reconnect with your spouse. Try this. Keep an open mind. Don't be squeamish or shy, because nothing about marriage is taboo or off limits here. So get ready to get raw and real. Raw marriage begins in 3, 2, 1. It's a ball. It's not a ball. It's a ball. Hi, I'm Zev Halpern, and welcome to the Raw Marriage Show. And thanks for joining us. We're talking about marriage from every angle. And if we miss something, please email us and let us know. We have a super show lineup. Tara and Mick Carbo are unplugged about fighting in the marriage pulse. The It Takes Two players are here, and Kim Yost, sex therapist, is in the house and will be talking, waking up that intimate, sensual, sexual part of your marriage. On a personal note, I, yours truly, was asked to write a chapter in a new book called The Courage To, coming out in March. I discuss, among other things, stepping up to do this show and more. So please sit back, chillax, put aside the no way, no how attitude, step back from your relationship, and be encouraged while you try on some new ways and means to refresh, rekindle, and recharge your marriage. Here's today's Raw Marriage Coaching perspective for your consideration. Think back to the days of infatuation and longing when the object of your desire drove you to attempt some type of physical connection. You held hands, and you sure wanted to, or embraced and kissed, and the biggest charge, feeling your bodies close, hungry, touch. Well, what happened to all that excitement? Oh, you got married and it stopped. You had kids and it stopped. You fight all the time now and you've lost that feeling, like the song says. Well, there's good news and other news. The good is you can get some of it back. The challenging news is you have to find a way to connect with touch right in the eye of the marital storm. How do we do that, Zev? Well, here's two possibilities. If you really can't muster the feeling, or you're just too mad and pissed off, just take this inexpensive plastic pronged massager and make nice to your spouse. Or, as I discovered last week, reach out and give a massage to your partner. Just focus on hands touching skin. I offered a massage and got an emphatic yes. As I was doing this back massage, I realized how good it felt just to touch her back, relieve some pain. But it was the touch, concentrated on fingers to back. I got lost in the touch, forgot about marriage tension and all that other craziness, and instead of being caring and giving chore, it turned out to be a big old wake-up call to me for the need for this kind of massage and touch in my marriage. So whether it's foreplay or just spontaneous touch, there's something to get for the giver as well as the receiver. Human touch. I want you to read up on it. Everybody needs it and responds to it in a very special way. If you're feeling pushed away, you might offer a hand, and what you might get might just surprise the you-know-what out of you. Be right back with Mick and Tara Carbo in the Marriage Pulse. But first, here's the It Takes Two Players.
Every day, it's the same freaking thing. Come home, fighting traffic for an hour, I come home, nothing's done. Have you made anything for dinner? You've been home all day. No, of course not, you haven't.
No, I haven't.
No, you haven't.
I haven't. What do you want me to do?
What do I want you to do? I'm out there working. Do you realize how long it takes me to get home? And I'm hungry. Look, I'm going to try to... What do you think you should be doing right now?
I was just watching a show. It was one show, a half hour.
You watch that show every day, and don't you know what time it is? Don't you know when I get home?
I know.
You expect me to put up with this every day, and I don't deserve it.
Look, I can't take this anymore. I can't do this. I'm going to my room, and I just want you to leave me alone. Don't follow me. Please, stop.
People who marry often fight a lot. No kidding. It's part of marriage. Two people, close quarters, fighting is a byproduct of a healthy marriage. A healthy marriage, not an unhealthy one. Sometimes marriage and love gives an advantage to a spouse that's verbally and physically abusive. Since you love me, I can crap on you. Anyway, I want, and you still love me. That seems like an unfair advantage, but one that repeats itself in many, many relationships. So let's ask Tara and Mick what they think. Hi, Tara.
Hello, Zev.
Hi, Mick.
Hey, Zev, what's happening, man?
It's all good, but I just want everyone to know I'm so happy you guys are doing this because you guys have a intention and you're devoted to the training and self-improvement. Mm-hmm. And I've seen that, over the months you go to training, and it's really it helps a lot. And so, care to share a little bit about fighting, you two?
Yeah, we're excellent people to talk to about this topic because we're very intense people in particular. So we have very clear opinions that we like to share. So we ruffle the feathers quite often. What do you have to say?
Yeah, I really love what you said in your intro, Zev. I mean, it really kind of makes it normal when I hear it in that way. Like when I meet couples and they're just like, oh, everything is all good, and they put the pretty face on and smile for the camera, pun intended. I smell something fishy, right?
Yeah, you're afraid what's behind that
door.
Right?
Exactly.
Don't open that front door.
Yeah, so I think that the most important thing to share with everybody is that it's normal, and it doesn't mean that the marriage isn't working. It doesn't mean that the relationship sucks or that there's no possibility for having an amazing relationship. It's just what happens.
Mm-hmm. So another way, sometimes you have people that are fighting in front of you at parties, and people say, oh, they always fight. I had an uncle and aunt, they fought probably from the day they were married to the day they died. Is it good, though? Is it a healthy or unhealthy to fight in front of people? What do you think, or what does it kick up in you when you see that?
Well, I think it depends. I think that there's a healthy way to do it and an unhealthy way to do it. I think that if fighting is a pattern that's so it's going to happen, right, with everybody. But if it's a pattern that reoccurs time and time again, one after another, I feel like it's unhealthy. If there has to be a big blow up an argument in front of the crowd.
Yeah, make them uncomfortable.
Yeah, these things can be a conversation that happened behind closed doors or at the dinner table at home, or, what Tara and I have done is we've gone to another room and we've had a conversation and we're like, look, we disagree on this thing right here, or we're upset with each other for this reason, and we'll talk about it later. But for right now,
it's as if it's so bad they have no awareness that there's other people around.
Yes.
It's just a natural thing to
Yes.
just bite the other person's tongue off.
Exactly.
So oh, that must go on all the time. Oh my goodness.
Oh, and if it's like that in front of
Yeah.
the group of friends, what must it be like behind closed doors?
Right.
Yeah.
So some people with fighting, fighting is kind of cumulative. They just pick up where they left off. Here we go. It's like someone lit the match. Here we go. I'm going to think, so what do you think about that? Is it an opportunity? Is fighting an opportunity to let your spouse know that something's going on and that something's objectionable?
Well, I think what I heard in that is there are certain triggers, right? So if Mick and I are like in an argument and it's going south, and then like I say something and he just doesn't say anything in response, and I'm like, what? Like, how can you just not answer me? Then I get like all heated, and it's like it downward spirals, and like you lose the topic, and then the next time, like he might be pausing to think, right, what his response is going to be, and I'm like, oh, he's ignoring me again, like he did last time. And so you carry that with you from argument to argument, year after year, and you don't allow the other person to actually grow and learn from, and evolve, because you're constantly referring back to the way that they normally do things.
Because people thinking she's just fighting about the same thing again. He's just bringing up that same issue again, same battleground, same theme, let's go to war. Let's have the war. So what about grudging? A lot of couples, they fight. Fighting doesn't result in a wonderful conclusion for them. They don't fill each other with the milk of human kindness. They don't get each other, and it just kind of. What about grudging? Do you see it? They don't see each other for a whole week goes by, or people pass each other.
Yeah. It's really such a shame. Like, we are fairly instant forgivers, which really helps, I think. But we know people for sure who will hold on to stuff for years, and how much they lose and miss out on because they're like holding on to something from 2 years ago.
I think they forget about what they're fighting about. I think sometimes the grudge, you feel like there's a reason I'm pissed at you. For the life of me, I can't remember what it is. I'm sure you're going to give me another reason, but
it's a habit. People habitually feel that way with one another, and then with this topic of having a grudge that's kind of reoccurring, there's a pattern around the whole thing from start to finish. And what we know to do instinctively is just run that same pattern. So we get upset, we have the thing that we're holding the grudge over, and we know how we did it last time, so we're just going to do it again the same way.
And on and on, and how do you get out of it? I mean, you get into the grudge room, it's hard to get out of the grudge room.
Subconsciously, it's an addiction. Right?
Yeah, and it's messy in there. It's hard to, where's the window? Can someone please show me the window? But it's just so tense, and that you can't. It's almost as if it's okay, keep your distance, and it certainly does help people keep distance, but not the greatest.
Yeah,
distance.
And sometimes, right? And I think that the answer to how do you change it is really simple, but it's not always easy. It's simply you practice. You practice something different. Like you said, a lot of couples don't kind of know how to stop holding that grudge. There's no completion to the conversation, or there's no end to it. There's just like let it go along far enough down the road until they're like tired of fighting or whatever, and it diffuses ultimately until it happens again. But what I think is that at some point practicing saying, you know what, we're not in a good place right now, or we're fighting right now, or whatever, and have a way that the couple has agreed on to work through it. Like maybe you do part ways, but you part ways for an hour, not 3 days or 3 weeks or 3 months.
So how about the making up? The making up, the flowers, the cards, the makeup sex. What do you think? What's your thoughts about that? Does it work? Is it? I mean, Hallmark's making a lot of money from it, for sure, right? People buying cards, people buying flowers. Makeup sex, angry a little bit, it's not so bad.
No, I think it's actually a really good thing. And in addition, on the other hand, it's part of their habit. It's part of the pattern. that's one of the reasons why couples will get into these big arguments and why it can get so bad sometimes, because they're looking for something that's in it for them, and it could be that really great make-up sex at the end, right? Or the flowers, the card, or whatever the gift may be. So I think that it's a really great thing to do, to have some kind of ending, some kind of happy ending, pun intended again.
Yeah, happy ending.
Yeah.
Let's, maybe let's come together.
So you can
know,
pick a fight
or
for
come
that, huh?
some way. Or,
Yeah,
or
exactly.
Find a way to just come to terms.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And
anyway,
I think it's just something to be aware of in terms of getting really clear on what that pattern is, becoming aware of it, and finding a place to interrupt it on purpose so that something new can be created.
Well, this has been great. I got you guys in a good frame. And thank you, as always, for the couple wisdom and, the on-the-spot, the real deal.
Absolutely.
Thanks so
Well,
much.
it all comes from experience.
And thanks, Nick. Thanks a lot.
Thank
So
you.
let us know what fighting is for your marriage. We want to hear about your experiences with making up, with make-up sex, because there are others who are coping with and verbally fighting, and maybe they'll benefit positively from your experience. So please send us some of your input. Sexpectations coming right up. So why do couples stop having sex? What was once the wellspring of their relationship just shuts down. It seems difficult to get two people to touch, kiss, and even do the big event. We're fortunate to have Kim Yost, sex therapist, in the studio tonight. Kim Yost is in private practice, specializing in sex therapy. Kim is a sex therapist and a lawyer. She's trained extensively at the Johns Hopkins Sexual Behaviors Consultation Unit and holds advanced degrees in law and clinical psychology. She studied human sexuality studies at Widener University and trained for 3 rotations in the Sexual Behaviors Consultation Unit at Johns Hopkins. Kim Yost's sex therapy practice is 20 minutes north of Silver Spring. Kim, welcome to the show. And
Thank you
so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Making it out there and traversing the great water basin that's been created out there. So I noticed you're a sex therapist and a lawyer. That's a serious 1-2 punch.
Yes, very useful to help.
What say you?
It's awfully useful to help clients that are misbehaving sexually, to keep them out of jail.
Wow.
So.
And did it, you were a lawyer for a while,
Yes.
and then you changed your...
Yes, I was a
changed
prosecutor, pretty much prosecuting sexual misconduct, and now I help people on the other side keep out of that trouble.
So it was against, and now for it's advocacy versus...
Yes, exactly.
Put them away.
Did that, done that. Now much more my nature to help them deal with their problems.
So couples, it appears, in my practice for many years, they seem to reach a point, some of them, where one or both of them sexually procrastinate. They just stop having sex and they don't. Why does that happen? What's the deal with that?
Well, the obvious things like stress, perhaps 2 jobs, kids, household chores, trying to exercise and just, keep up with friends and family, those kind of things certainly keep people from connecting. I think a really big reason is the goal of intercourse where both partners are into it and satisfied. If that's our goal, and not tired and clean and available, if you're looking for that, how often is that going to happen? I rather teach people to consider sex to be so many things: oral sex, anal sex, rubbing, vibrating, hand jobs, things like that, where one person might be looking for sexual release and the other is willing to help out. And if you define sex more globally, you're going to get a lot more of it. And you don't need to wait for both people to be in the mood at the same time.
So the idea is to widen the perspective of sex for a couple and say it's not as you thought, it's not as you might see it on internet porno, it's not as you might have thought, or your friends told you, or your best friend that tells you that they have sex every night. in the kitchen,
the
and
media,
on the ceiling.
The media is very unkind. It makes it seem like everybody's having great sex, and that everybody's passionate and into it, and everybody has satisfaction at the end. That's not, realistic. It's wonderful, but it's not realistic.
Really, I mean, everybody's just getting laid.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then you're not.
Yeah.
And
Right.
that sucks.
It does suck.
It just does. It makes people feel terrible, and it puts a huge stress on marriages. So while they're procrastinating, it appears to me that they have sexual organs, and they're
Yes, they do.
procrastinating.
Yes, they do.
And what are they doing with those sexual organs? Are they up to no good? Are they looking elsewhere? Are they got eyeballs elsewhere? They're doing it by hand. What's going on there?
Could be a lot of that. For some people, both parties just shut down, which I think is very sad, because sex enhances a marriage. It gives them vitality and closeness and connection. Without it, it can do, when it's dysfunctional or avoided, or they have disparate desires, then it can put like 70% damage on a relationship. So we certainly like to see it, it supports families. It
Can you
supports
talk a little bit
couples.
about that damage, the 70% damage versus the having sex, and what it can do, the benefits and the damage?
With
Really
the damage,
important
sure.
for people to hear.
Yeah, your self-esteem is often based on your sexuality and your feeling wanted and needed and connected to the person that you love and chose. Yeah, touched. People go without touching for so long, and then there's the fear that if I do reach out and touch him, perhaps, then he's going to think that I'm ready for sex. So we need to let people just get back to touching without any expectations. Sometimes it will turn into sex, sometimes it won't, but to avoid it is really, just damaging to the...
And avoidance has its, there's a talent to avoiding, it appears to me. Just throw on some flannels, throw on,
Get
throw
to bed
on
early.
some sweats,
That's right.
run to bed
Yep, get
early,
to bed,
jump
turn
in there,
TV
and
on,
you're out.
play on your electronic device. That's awfully...
Be at the computer, read a romance book.
That I would actually, that's at least...
That's at least on the way, the other way.
Right. You have to nurture your libido as well. You can't treat it with benign neglect. You really need to act as if. So watch porn, read romance novels, read about sexual things, take quizzes online, talk to each other, share fantasies, masturbate, do things that keep juices flowing. It's just like any other muscle, you must care for it.
I mean, it's great. It's one person, when you're telling one person that, but when you're telling two people, to get together, to be with each other, to do the things that are going to ramp it up and rev up the sexual part, the 70%, is that what it was that you said, the 70% that was
damaging to the relationship.
And put that aside and increase it. It's hard to get two people to...
yes, it is.
To get to the avoidance behaviors of human beings are beyond amazing.
Yep.
And in one little house or in one mansion, there are plenty of places to run.
Yeah, and our society also doesn't support people getting sex therapy and talking about it. Parents don't teach their children about sex, so it's such a taboo topic. And meanwhile, we're here to help, and there's lots of opportunities to improve the situation, but it's just not in our culture.
In this case, knowledge is good.
Yes. Yes.
Knowledge is good. So what would we, just to throw out some tidbits for viewers who are going, so what do I do? Sex therapist, Kim Yost, how do I want this guy or I want this woman to see me, to feel me, to know I exist. I want to touch her, but I want him to touch me. But there's avoidance. So how do you break it? What do you do?
I think one of my favorite techniques would be non-demand pleasuring, where we do massages and just touching anything besides genitals or breasts or erogenous areas. And therefore, the person who is uncomfortable getting back into being sexual doesn't feel the pressure. It's just going to be a pleasurable experience, and really just reconnecting and learning how to touch again without the expectation of something. And
you
also,
said, go ahead, please.
And also, I'm a big fan of scheduling sex too, not expecting it to become a spontaneous event. If we do that, somebody's tired, somebody's got kids to deal with or whatever. It's not going to happen. And that doesn't seem romantic and it doesn't seem exciting, but you want to make sure you're having sex. You need to make sure, put it on the calendar. Absolutely.
Put it on the calendar.
Yeah.
And, some people would say that's just not spontaneous, but then that would be another avoidance.
Exactly.
Another great way of avoiding. Don't put it on the calendar so that another 3 months or who knows how long goes by.
Yeah.
This has been very informative, and you clearly know your topic, and thanks so much for coming out tonight to have this very important discussion that people really will be getting a lot out of. Good. Thanks so much, Kim.
My pleasure.
Well, that's all the time we have tonight. Stay tuned for more Raw Marriage coming your way in months ahead. Please join the dialogue. Send in questions and comments. First names and town only. Zev at rechargeyourmarriagenow.com. To connect with Kim Yost, check out her website. To connect with Mick and Tara Carbo, check out their website and emails. To find out more about the It Takes Two players, contact Chris Pennick. Here's where to find me at rechargeyourmarriagenow.com. I invite you to find out more about me by taking full advantage of the special, really rich content which I've made available free. You can download it. Recharge your marriage, enrich your marital communication skills, reconnect for a deeper, more fulfilling relationship. Spice up that marriage and feel the love again. Follow me on Twitter, like my Facebook page, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And check out the podcast on iTunes. Finally, try some forgiveness if you can. Hug, kiss, touch, talk, cuddle. Get out more. Laugh a little. Say you're sorry, and there's a lot of ways to do that. Remember, we are our mistakes and our successes. So it's okay. We're only human. You can try again. Thanks for joining us. I'm Zev Halpern. See you next time for the Raw Marriage Show.